Thank you.
Never bowing to the pressures of other people. I love that you're genuine in your writing. And your writing has inspired me I'm 44. So since I was like 15 to write. That was always my release. So drugs were never a thing. Songs, poetry, lyrics. I can't do music. I never learned.
Well, neither can I. Look how far I got.
You're
Yeah, probably.
But drugs were never an option for me. So writing, when I was a kid, writing was always kind of my outlet. I guess it was my coping mechanism. The Idol, especially, that album, when I was like 14, I can't even explain to you how incredibly intense that album was for me. And not to try and get all deep, and I don't want to bring anybody down, but I didn't have a great childhood. Like I was raped as a kid, and I had all these issues happening, abusive family. So by the time I turned 18, I was angry. And when I turned 18, Kill Fuck Die came out. And what an angry album that was. And I related perfectly to that album. My favorite Wasp song is my Torture Addicts. I know what that says to me, because it probably not what you were saying when you wrote it, but that's the beauty of writing is.
Yeah, because all art is subjective.
Yes, exactly. So I know what that means to me. My question for you, and I apologize for this really long-winded intro, but thank you for that. Because it's all these years later spoken to me, and it's kind of this is kind of like my what do you say? Your support animal.
Yeah, mechanism.
What inspired you to write that song? Like, what does that song mean to you?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry to hear this, what you're saying. But now you guys are getting an idea of why I say this has been the best thing I've ever done. Because this is, you don't get this from journalists. Like I said, I learned doing these that I respond usually the first thing that comes to my mind. I was in Toronto the day The Idol was released. They used to have a TV show up there called Much Music. It was like RMTV, but it was live. So people knew if you were there, they knew you were at the studio. So they'd come down and wait around outside the studio and get autographs. So I got done. It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I come out and there was about 10, maybe 12 people waiting out there. And so, they're standing around and I'm signing. I've got my head down. Now, we had trouble back in the 80s and the FBI had to come in a couple of times. We had thousands of death threats and all that stuff. So it got ugly. They taught us what to watch for if something is not right, if there's a dangerous situation. So I've got, imagine all you guys close around me, but I see this one figure standing over here with a long black trench coat. And I'm writing. And in my peripheral vision, I'm paying attention to him. So I'm writing, and he's waiting. He's not saying a word. I'm signing. He's the last one. And he slides in a copy of the Crimson Idol. I've still not looked at him yet. He slides the copy in. That record was released at 10 o'clock that morning. And I'm signing it. And I said, have you heard this yet? And I hear him go, mm-hmm. I said, you like it? He goes, mm-hmm. And I looked up at him. Tears were running down his face. And he says, you've written my life. That's 4 hours after release. I went through absolute hell and misery making that record. It made it all worthwhile that moment. Because if you can do something, when I was talking about that arc a minute ago, his question, when you go through that arc, you start to realize, or you start to think more about what's my purpose for being here? What is it I'm really supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to spend the rest of my life wrapped in my summer of '86 that I was talking about? Or am I going to try to do something like Horace Mann, the great educator, his great quote was, "It would be a shame to die without winning some victory for mankind." What have I done to win some sort of victory for mankind? So that's really, what I'm focusing on when I'm trying to do this. And I'm hoping it'll make somebody's life a little better. I mean, my torture dies, I don't know what you're seeing when you see that, but you're right. I mean, that whole record was, some guys that was mad at the world, boy.
Basically, I think what the message that I got from it was kind of killing the innocent child in you, and then kind of what's left is now darker. That's, I think, in a nutshell, kind of what.
No, that's not what I was thinking. No. But you are 100% correct if that's what you're seeing, because like I said, all art is subjective, so it's whatever it means to you. I try to write ambiguously at times. That was probably the biggest struggle I had when I was doing The Idol. How much information do I give you? How much do I give you? How much do I spoon feed you? And how much do I leave gaps where the punchline is not necessarily given to you, where you got to think about it, you got to figure it out yourself. I'll give you a quick example. In Great Misconceptions of Me, he talks about his 8,000 days of rage. He tells you how old he is right there when he dies. He's 21. But do I tell you he's 21, or do I let you figure it out for yourself? It's just little stuff like that. So you're trying to drop those little nuggets all the way through whatever you're doing. For me, my torture dies is exactly, it was literal interpretation or reflection of what I was feeling at the time. I had just come out of a relationship of 3 years, and the last time I saw her, I told her to never come back again. And I was pissed off and didn't want to see her face anymore. So I would love it to be more in depth as to what you're saying, but
then goes into kill your pretty face.
Well, and that was the previous
now we're connecting
answer,
the dots.
So,
Can I ask one more?
Sure.
How much of you is in Jonathan? Like, how much of that is out of
I still can't tell you. I don't know. I'm still figuring that one out. I said in the beginning it was 10% of this guy and 10% of that guy and 10% of me, which I believed at the time when I was saying it. I've since discovered there's more of me in it than I gave it credit for. All writers write from truth, or should be writing from truth, and I was, but there was more of me than I even knew. So it's a discovery process, and I'm figuring it out as much as you are. Anybody else back there?
No, you're on that side.
Okay.